I was talking fantasy football with my friends the other day.
Well, Josh?
Well. Look who's back. Where the hell have you been? At home, sitting in your asses?
Go away now, Josh. Actually, my name is Alan.
The dorky white kid with a Cub Scout bandana on his head.
Bravo.
November.
Tango. On.
Football.
Hey, welcome back. Alan and Josh here again for another week of Bent on Fantasy Football. How's it going, Josh?
It's going great, Alan.
All right.
We still don't know what week it is. Maybe 7, 8?
Yeah, we kind of forgot about that. Every week we kind of remember, but we decided to not even pay attention to that anymore. It's scrap. So, welcome back. We want to start out our show like we always do every week with our beers. Now, I believe that you went first last week?
I believe so.
All right, so we really don't know that either. But anyway, my beer this week is 0-3 and 3-0. You know why, Josh?
I don't. What do those numbers mean, Alan?
Okay, so my record on one of my leagues, my ESPN league, is 3-0.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you. Yeah, no applause.
Oh, they're not applauding that.
So do you want to know what the 0-3 is?
What's the 0-3? I really want to know what that is.
Yeah, all right. So the league that Josh and I are on, I'm 0-3, okay? Now, that being said, I will say this. A loss is a loss, but I've lost by less than 6 points every single week so far. My time is coming. I'm going to turn the ship around. We'll talk more about this later, but for right now, just know that I'm 0-3 on that league.
Well, the Lions also lost by 3 and 4 in their 2 losses, so if that says anything. Now, my beer, what does my beer say? I can't really read it. Ask me about our Week 3 fantasy matchup. Oh, since you did, we're definitely going to talk about that then, because we want to talk about, we played each other Week 3.
Well, he's going to talk about it. I'm going to sit here uncomfortably the whole time. So, that being said, let's crack these bad boys open.
All right.
We want you guys to, as you do every week, pop open a cold one, sit back, and enjoy the show.
That matchup really had me quenched for thirst, man.
The 3-0 tastes pretty good too, but it's the 0-3 that's
Yeah, the 0-3
makes it a little bitter.
So
All
we're
right.
going to do like we do every week. What's Gov?
Well, before we get into that, I do want everybody to remember to like, subscribe, and share.
Absolutely.
We love doing these videos every week, even if we have 10 of you or 12 of you or 50 of you or 1,000 of you, and we'll get there if you guys do that. If you like, subscribe, and share. So
awesome.
Remember to do that. Anyway, let's go on to Gub.
All right. So you want me to go first, or are you going first?
Absolutely, go right ahead.
All right. So Alan and I, as we do every week, we get together, we watch the games. What's really got me bent this year, not just because I'm an Arizona Cardinal fan, not just because I picked them as my prediction to win last week, straight up, but it was somewhere early in the second quarter, and the TV, the station that we were watching it on, flashed a stat up for Arizona pass catchers had 6 dropped passes, not overthrows, not pass breakups, 6 dropped passes in the beginning of the second quarter. I mean, that's just inexcusable. You know, I mean,
it's been a season-long thing too. It's not just last week either.
Yeah, and it was over 10 in the entire game, and that's just inexcusable. Like as a Cardinal fan, I hate seeing that. Okay, and as a football fan, I hate seeing that even more. And as a fantasy football fan, no.
Yep. No, I hear you on that. Can you say wide receiver coach? Arizona can't, but can you?
I can.
Okay.
But they got the walking wounded right now for their receiver core. Is the thing.
I get that, but they're still pros, man. They got to catch the ball.
I agree with you. I'm with you.
They got to catch the ball. Awesome. So I'm going to talk about what's got me bent.
Okay.
Bears fan, we won. We won last week. Stop cheering. Don't cheer. Stop. All the hoopla, forget it. You have nothing to be happy about. I have nothing to be happy about as a Bears fan. We beat a mediocre team at best, I'd say. We beat San Francisco, which remains to be seen. And we lost to a Green Bay team that played mediocre against us and destroyed us. So, That being said, we're looking at a pass, an issue with passing.
Absolutely.
We're absolutely not passing. We haven't hit 20 attempts in the season yet. And you were telling me before the show too that how many receptions have they had all season?
Well, we've hit 20 attempts, but ESPN was when they were doing I think Monday Night Football. They flashed a stat up across the screen, and they elaborated on this a little more. This is the first time since 2011 a NFL team has 10 or fewer pass completions. Now, granted, we're 2-1, but Fields is not looking good, guys. Okay.
Yeah.
And yes, we're 2-1. That's great and all, but yeah, like Alan said, there is nothing really to be happy about.
No, we knew right from the beginning of the season this was going to be a rebuilding season, so temper the expectations. This is the last time I'm going to do anything with Gub or bent predictions on the Bears. I know I've been talking about them a lot this year.
Well, you may have to today, so
yeah,
we'll talk about that in a bit.
Yeah, so but Bears fan, temper the expectations. Don't start celebrating. There's no reason to celebrate. I hear a lot of Bears fans out there. Woo woo woo! Yeah, we're number one for 2 weeks now, and that's it. It's going to be a long season. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So we really have to kind of temper our expectations. It's a growing season, and we're going to grow this year, and that's all we can do at this point.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, let's move on then.
All right, we're going to talk a little bit about our matchup.
We are.
Okay. Now, if you guys remember last week, my beers said 10 and 12, which was 10th place and 12th place out of how many teams, Alan?
12.
12 teams, okay. So I was in 12th place, Alan was in 10th. We were both 0-2. Now, our matchup, I beat him this week. Neither one of us really had a right home about game.
No.
I think I put up like 90 something, and you put up low 90s.
Yeah, it was pretty bad as far as the points go.
You did lose by less than 2 points, though.
Yes. Now that being said, I should have won that. I'm not going to complain. I'm going to take the loss like a man. But I will say this: if CeeDee Lamb doesn't drop that pass that was right to him in his hands, I win.
He would have won.
I would have won.
But I also would have won in week 1 against Jay when Christian Watson dropped the 75-yard pass.
Exactly my point. So it's fantasy football. It doesn't matter what would have happened. It only matters what did happen. All right.
Yes.
So I'm taking it like a man. I will say that this week Josh was a better team than mine.
Absolutely. So going forward, are you pretty happy with your team right now, or do you need to make any moves? Where could you see improvement?
Well, he's asking me this because he's been sending me trade offers. I know where this is going. We didn't talk about this beforehand, but I know where this is going. So I do, but I'll be honest with you. I don't see a lot on your team that's going to benefit me in the way I need to be benefited.
Okay. Well, that wasn't actually where I was going. I just want to know if you are content with your team now. I mean, it's 3 weeks in.
I am not content with my record. I'm not content with how my team's been playing. If they all play together and have a good week, then at the same time for a change, then I'd be content with it. But
okay.
At this point, there's going to be some changes. I just don't know where yet or who for sure, but there's going to be some changes on my team.
Okay, and there's going to be injuries across the league happen too, so who knows what's going to happen there. But I'll be honest, 1-2, I'm happy that I won. I'm not happy with my team at all right now. I have a plethora of running backs. And yes, I am trying to unload some of the running backs, Jamal Williams, Alexander Madison, who have RB1 value, were their starters to go down.
Yes. Unlike Delvin Cook, who was back on the practice field today, by the way, just so you guys know. He was in the areas where the media was. They didn't really see him doing anything, but he was off where the media can't see him doing stuff. I don't know how much he was involved in practice, but he was on the practice field today. Excellent sign after last weekend.
Oh, real quick though, too, I wanted to mention my bench running backs outscored my starting running backs in my fantasy lineup. I had Madison, Stevenson, Ramondre, and Jamal Williams. I think they put up over 52 points combined.
Yeah, and who I said a wide receiver too, Higbee. Or not Higbee.
No, not Higbee.
Tyler Boyd.
Tyler Boyd, yes.
Tyler Boyd.
And you pumped him up, too.
I did. And you know what? I kicked myself because I knew he was going to break out at some point. I just didn't know when. And I was taking a chance and hoping it was this week against Miami instead of last week. But here we are, and I messed that up.
That play was kind of fluky, though. That was like a 15-yard gain, turned into 2 missed tackles, turned into a 56-yard touchdown. which
What?
still you can't complain, but he should have been down after about a 15-yard gain.
Okay, but he himself is the reason that he didn't get tackled. It wasn't just sloppy tackling.
Okay, I'll give that to you.
So, yards after the catch do count still.
They do.
Especially in fantasy. That's where your bread and butter's at. So, just saying, not saying.
Or margarine. Some people don't like butter.
Yeah, see, if I'd have started that guy, I would have. But we're not going there. We're not going there. We're not going there. All right, so
that's enough about our matchup now.
Thank you. I'm done with that. So,
All right, so Alan is the only one of 12 teams that is 0-3, by the way. I just wanted to mention that.
Now we're going to do something, the next part of the show, because I'm moving on now. The next part of the show is something that's not very comfortable with me either. This is our start and sit. We're going to talk about last week. We're going to talk about how bad I sucked at that.
It's only been 2 weeks, Alan, so you got plenty of time to make up. So
all right. So let's talk about it. Dig some numbers out.
All right. So last week, if you guys remember, after week 1 or after our first week of start sit, I was 4-0. Alan was 1-3. Okay. Alan's about as consistent as you can come when it comes to start and sit because he went 1-3 again.
Yeah.
God, I mean, everybody just killed you. It was Geno Smith, went off for 20-something. Who was your running back? Oh, Derrick Henry.
Don't really
That
think
bites us all in the butt.
Don't ever sit Derrick Henry because when you do, he goes off. It's all there is.
And then Amari Cooper put up 24. So those are 3 losses. Now, Higbee did score 8.1 on your sit. However, I'm going to call this a win. He only had 4 targets. He caught all 4 of those targets for 61 yards. Usually he doesn't put up that kind of yards per catch number. So while he only had 4 targets, 4 catches, I'm going to mark that one as a win.
Thank you.
Okay. So I won in Njoku and Mac Jones. So I went 2-2. David Montgomery killed me. He went out early after only 1 fantasy point. And then Garrett Wilson, who I thought would blow up, he did score 9, but that's not what you want out of a wide receiver too.
Nope.
So year to date, I am 6-2 and Alan is 2-6.
All right, so that's going to turn around this week because we got some good picks this week.
Yeah. So Alan's doing start. Let's you go first this week since I went first last week.
All right. So my start at quarterback is going to be Joe Burrow against Miami tonight. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Miami's pass defense is pretty bad. They're I think the second worst pass defense in the league right now. Joe Burrow and his plethora of talent that he's got around him is going to start picking up the pace now. You're going to see them start clicking a little bit better. Miami is just the team to get them started too. Look for a shootout in this game. Burrow's going to go off, and I think on the other side of the ball, I think we're going to see a lot of points there too. So.
Yeah, in fact, that over-under moved almost 2 full points from last night. It was at 47, now it's at 49. So the people who know are expecting that to be a big shootout game as well.
Great Thursday night game too this year. We've had some solid Thursday night games this year. Last year was pretty bad to start out the season.
We had some horrific games last year.
But this year good Thursday night games. So keep an eye on that one. That's going to be a big one.
Okay, who do you got for your running back?
For my running back, I got Jamal Williams versus Seattle. Again, weak defense on the run. Seattle's run defense is pretty weak. They're third worst in the league. And I think that Swift is not going to be able to be, at least not have full time. He might be on a snap count.
Okay.
If that's the case, Jamal Williams is going to go off this week.
I hope so, because I have him, and I should have started him against you last week. Good thing he didn't bite me in the butt. So, what about receiver? Who do you got this week?
I've got Mike Evans versus Kansas City.
Okay.
And the reason is, now Tom Brady plays with a chip on his shoulder every single week, right? But I think that loss last week was a tough one for him to swallow. It's a pretty jagged little pill to swallow, I should say.
Oh yeah.
So I see them coming back. Mike Evans, I think, is gonna have an excellent week. There's a lot of mouths to feed there if they can get wide receivers open. That's the big key. Kansas City's pass defense, not the greatest in the world against wide receivers. They're like second or third, I think, against wide receivers as far as fantasy points go.
Yeah.
So from a fantasy perspective, I like Mike Evans this week.
Okay, and that game is going to be a shootout. I think the over-under on that one was what now? Can't see it here, but it was, well, crap. Maybe I didn't rate it on there, but I think it's like 51, 51 and a half something.
Yeah,
So
it's up there a little bit.
yeah,
So.
so we're expecting that one to be huge.
Yep. So at tight end, I've got Dallas Goddard against Jacksonville. I know you're big on the Jacksonville defense, but if you look at the numbers, the stats don't lie. They're middle of the pack and
Against tight ends, they are. They're not as strong against tight ends.
Right. So Dallas Goddard, I think they're going to get their stuff together this week, and I think he's going to see a breakout week.
Okay. All right, I like that pick. Now, I got two guys in that game we just mentioned that I'm sitting. And this is going to be vastly unpopular, especially he's putting up almost MVP type numbers. I like, as a sit, Jalen Hurts. And yes, he's been, like I said, he's putting up MVP numbers, but I think that Jacksonville defense is for real. They can really get to that quarterback.
Now, yeah, and that's actually a great point too. Their defense against the pass may not be as good as I think maybe don't realize how bad it could be. Anyway, the sacks, the turnovers, that type of thing from a fantasy perspective, that's what you want to look at.
Yeah, and they've done it the last 2 weeks. I mean,
have.
they've really dominated and turned over two of the greatest quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yep.
So moving on for my running back, I got J.K. Dobbins. Now, he is back. He is healthy. But he's playing against a Buffalo defense that really doesn't surrender much to that run. And even though Lamar's had two big back-to-back weeks, I don't know. I think Buffalo's going to be up in that game by a couple touchdowns. They're not going to need to run the ball. And that's going to be the problem.
They're not going to need to, but Jackson's going to be their top rusher. He'll be running for his life. So
yeah, he's always whoever's the starting running back listed on the depth chart for Baltimore is always going to be the number 2 rusher.
Yep, absolutely. Well, I think he'll be the number 1 this week because, like you said, they don't need to rush.
No, I say the person behind him is always going to be number 2.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Yep. So what about for wide receiver?
Wide receiver, this is a guy I really, really like year long. Christian Kirk. That Philadelphia secondary has really been shutting down teams. And I think this game is going to be more of a defensive battle than a lot of people think it is. I think the over-under is up in the high 40s, low 50s. I think you got two great defenses. We could see a opposite of a shootout here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we could. I like that pick, actually. Even though I got Christian Kirk on my team,
Mm-hmm.
I still like that pick as far as a sit. I'm still up in the air about Jacksonville's offense. They've got so much to work with, and they've got a strong arm at quarterback. They've got some talented wide receivers. I just don't know what's not clicking. They got a good running back, James Robinson, local guy. That's what I'm talking about. But I don't know why they're not clicking better than what they are. That should be a high-powered offense, and it's not yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, their defense is keeping them in games. That's why they're 2-0 or 2-1. Mm-hmm. So, and then lastly, for my tight end, I hate to say it, but it's Cole Kmet from the Bears.
Ooh.
Until Justin Fields has more than 10 completions in a game, there's not much for anybody to go around. You know, there's not enough for a single receiver to go around, let alone multiple receivers. With Mooney the first option, I'd say Kmet's a number 2 option. But until Justin Fields and that passing game get going, I just don't see anything moving anywhere, really.
Either. No, solid pick on that one. Safe pick, but solid pick.
I know.
I'm just kidding. Thank you. But no, good pick though. I agree with you. Like I said at the beginning of the show, we need to have some more passing, at least attempts.
Yeah.
On behalf of the Bears, we need more yards, obviously, but down near the goal line, Cole Kmet should be one of the options that we see down there, and we're just the volume's not there.
No,
there's nothing. I mean,
it's like Fields is almost afraid to throw in the red zone.
It is. So good pick. Let's move on because we got something really important to talk about this week.
Okay.
The Cup Watch.
Cup Watch. Now,
the Cup Watch.
The Cup Watch. Now, after 2 games, if you guys remember, he had 29 targets. Now, this week he slowed down a little bit. Still had a touchdown though, albeit rushing. 30. He only caught four catches out of 6 targets. Now, here's where that number is a little skewed. Okay. LA Rams were up on the Cardinals, and we talked about the Cardinals, their woes earlier. For most of that game, they didn't need to throw. Mm-hmm. They ran the ball, they ran the clock for almost the entirety of the second half. But that being said, I mean, he still got 44 yards receiving, 20 on one rush and a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
So he's still putting up 12, 13 points in a bad week where his usage is very, very minimal.
Isn't that crazy?
It is.
I mean,
it is.
You know, we talk about, you know, number of receptions, number of, you know, attempts to him and all that type of thing. But from a fantasy perspective, the guy's a point maker. I mean,
Absolutely he is.
No matter what happens, he's even on his down weeks, he's a solid performer. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. But so year to date so far, season to date, he's got 35 targets, which even with that bad week, that's almost 12 targets a game.
Yep.
28 catches, that's ridiculous. 280 yards and 4 touchdowns. Now, you break that out over the course of a season, 199 targets, so basically 200 targets.
Yep.
159, basically 160 catches, just under 1,600 yards at 1,585, and 23 touchdowns. I mean, that's the big number. That's still got us mind blown.
That's all impressive. I mean, if you look across the board at those numbers, that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah, I wish my wide receiver 2 would do what he did just in week 3.
Right.
Every week.
Right. All right. You want to move on to bet predictions?
I do, and we're going to do this a little differently.
We got something cool here that we're going to try. Josh, explain what we're doing here.
Okay, so we got this fancy little wheel back here. We're going to call the Wheel of Misfortune.
The Wheel of Misfortune.
Now, we each have our favorite games. My favorite game this week was Miami Moneyline. I was going to do that as my bet prediction. However, we decided to come up with a new idea. We wrote down 10 or 12 of the most interesting games to us. Now, I have to spin the wheel, and I don't know what my bet prediction is until it lands on the matchup. Now, we're going to go with, we have the spreads and the over-under on both of these. So you have to do both. So if I land on, let's say, Miami-Cincinnati, I have to bet Cincinnati -4 or Miami +4, and then the over-under at 49.
Yep.
And vice versa.
Now, we didn't talk about this. Are we going to do separate spins for each of us?
Yeah.
All right, let's do that.
Yeah.
All right. So you want to spin first?
I will spin first.
Do the inaugural spin.
Oh, God, that's a... Tennessee, Indianapolis. Okay, so right now, Indianapolis is a 3.5-point home favorite. Over-under is 43. I personally like Tennessee to cover that 3.5. Tennessee is actually playing really, really well right now. Even though Indianapolis, yes, they did beat Kansas City. I like how that defense and offense are really coming along in that Tennessee team. So I like Tennessee +3.5, and I love that over 43.
Okay. All right. Write it down. Make sure we have that on record.
We will.
All right. So, my turn to spin?
Your turn to spin. Now, what were you going to pick before?
Okay, so yeah, that's actually a great question. I was going to take the Buffalo game. I was going to take Buffalo -3 and then the under on 51, which is kind of interesting if you break that down. The only reason I did that is because I don't think it's going to be a huge scoring game. The guys in Vegas, or I should say the people in Vegas, obviously think that it's going to be, but I don't think so.
Okay.
I think that's going to be a lower scoring game, and I think Buffalo's going to still beat that 3 points.
Okay. Now, these aren't our set in stone predictions. These are just what we like, but the real ones got to go through the wheel.
So what was yours going to be?
Mine was going to be Miami Moneyline to win straight up. They're 3.5-point underdogs. That's a Thursday night game, so I don't know if we'll see it tonight or we might. This might be posted before tonight's game.
Hopefully it will be. If all goes well and we get done in the next 18 minutes, then yeah, it should go well. It should be up tonight. So
okay.
Let's get to the spinning then. So it's my turn. And
you got to go again because that's the same game. We can't do the same game.
I'm spinning so hard this time.
Buffalo, Baltimore. There you go.
All right, I'm going to take Buffalo and the -3, and I'm going on the under. There we go. I'm going to talk about it before.
That's Alan's first one. So we're going to do 2 games each. So
we're
going to do 2 games each, yes.
But we could be spinning this thing all night if we keep landing on the same ones.
We could.
That'd be cool. Good way way to spend a Thursday night.
All right, so my next one is, oh God, this is another snoozer. The ones in the purple I wrote were the worst games, and I just happened to get two of them.
That's awesome.
Seattle, Detroit. Detroit at home is given 4 points, so they're a 4-point favorite. I like that. I think that's really a no-brainer. Seattle's really not playing well, with exception to Geno Smith going off against Atlanta Sunday night. But I really like Detroit. I really like Detroit -4. Their offense is really clicking. Now their defense isn't, leaves much more to be desired. So I love that 48 over. So I'm going to do over 48 and Detroit -4.
Taking Detroit -4, really?
-4 at home, yeah. I think.
Told you, closet Detroit fan. All right, so I get to spin again.
Yep.
This is the best part because now I know I get no purple.
Yes.
New England and Green Bay.
I really like that game.
Don't. I don't want to hear.
I'm not going to touch it.
All right.
This is 40.5. It kind of looks like a 6. It's 40.5, not 46.5.
Okay. Doesn't look like a 6. Oh, drink another one. All right. So we got New England and Green Bay, and Green Bay -9.5 points. Wow. Holy cow. And 40.5 points is the over/under. So, that being said, I'm going to make this real interesting. I'm going to go with New England.
Plus the 9.5?
And the 9.5 points. And I'm going to go over on the over/under.
40.5. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
So, what I'm saying by doing that is New England's going to score a lot of points and kick Green Bay's butts. Just saying.
It's going to be 40-0, New England.
Told you, no more bet predictions on the Bears. All on Green Bay now.
Well, you don't have a choice. Whatever it lands on each week, you got to pick. So, and so
now,
do I.
We might change this. We might do something different with this wheel. But for right now, this is what we're doing with it. And we're going to have some fun with this.
So each week, we're going to have basically 4 picks each. So, and we'll keep a running tally, kind of like we do with our start sit, kind of like we do with the Cup Watch, and so forth.
I'm going to write that down.
I got them written right here. This is the gospel right here. So I got you got Buffalo -3 under 51, and then New England plus 9.5 and over 40.5.
Over on the 40.5.
Yeah. So I'm rooting for some high scoring games, and you're rooting for basically an underdog.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I am. I'm all about underdogs, especially when they play Green Bay.
Yes, I like it.
All right. So, I think that's pretty much it this week. Although we do want to mention one thing we may not have mentioned before on the show.
We really need you guys to like, subscribe, share. You know, if you got any friends that are fantasy football fans, or even just football fans, or even just are on YouTube, tell them, hey, do you want to see two guys make jackasses out of themselves?
That would be us.
Yes, while making many errors per week. And
it's either us or Matt Eberflus. I'm not sure which.
Both, probably.
Both? Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
By the way, Matt Eberflus, if you're listening.
He's not listening.
And I know you're listening.
I don't even know who that is, but he's not listening.
Okay. But if he is listening.
He's not listening.
Throw the ball. Throw the ball.
And if anybody knows him, tell him to start watching and listening. So.
Yes. Because he's probably listening.
I know who he is, but he's not watching. He's probably getting chewed out by Virginia McCaskey at the moment as she drools up. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, I can't go there. Mental images, stop. All right. So anyway, I guess we're done for this week.
Yeah.
We want to get this up on the air in the next hour or so. Probably won't happen. It'll be after the game starts. So.
Game starts. We got about an hour and a half till game time.
Yeah,
so.
it takes longer than that to upload it. So.
So we're not going to have it by game time. But.
No, we won't. But we will have our bet predictions in place, and you guys can check it out and set your lineups by our start and sits. This week's going to be awesome. I'm telling you. So if you don't like our start and sits, I guess you can just get bent
on fantasy football.
How long you want to sit here?
Well, you could have told them to do my start and sit because I'm 6-2. You're 2-6.